Calvin Castine on the streets of Chazy, beautiful downtown Chazy. It's the 23rd day of July 2024, and we're on what's known as Bank Street. As TD Bank is right on that corner, right off Route 9. Riley Ford is that building over that way, and how this got to be named Bank Street is beyond me, because we all know it as Auction Street. We're about to do a little video on a 10+ minute video, a little over 10-minute video of auctions that took place here at the Neverett Brothers Auctions here on what's now known as Bank Street. And every Thursday farmers would bring their cattle here, or a dealer would pick up their cattle and bring them here, and there'd be a huge auction here every Thursday. Now it's a transfer station owned by an outfit known as McCracken, and they bring cattle in, and most of them go out the same day. Some might stay overnight. They feed them and water them and shovel out the manure, but then they're loaded up and taken on to their next destination. And it's all cattle from northern New York that are brought here. So it's still being utilized, but certainly not as dramatically as it was a generation ago. Or in this case, 3 generations ago, because I think they call 25 years a generation, and the film we're going to look at is from 1947, 77 years ago. It's going to be a hectic thing. We're heading up for the Legion here on Route 9 in Chazy, and we're going to do this video, but I just wanted to stop here and let everybody know that this place is still being utilized, but not anywhere near the way it was in the 50s and 60s and on into the 70s. Unfortunately, I think if Bob Venn had been here, we could have done an excellent job on this story, because Bob was very much involved in all this. But Bob's been gone since 1997, and he would have been the ideal person to talk us through this event. I was born in 1947, so when the film was filmed, I was just barely getting into diapers. So we're going to head up to the Legion. We're going to talk to Debbie Olds and find out a little bit more about this film, and hopefully it won't be too hectic when everybody shows up and we try to synchronize what they're saying with what they're seeing on the screen. I brought along my genuine antique farmer hat so I'd fit in here. We're at the Russell B. Childs American Legion, and the sign has been up for a week or two now, calling all farmers. This it now says today, 2 to 4 p.m. And we're going to go inside and try to get this as organized as we can. It's the situation is going to be tough, because hopefully a lot of people will be talking, and a lot of them will be talking at the same time probably, but we'll try to get it into a coherent episode that we can show here on Hometown Cable. Okay, I've already warned people it's probably going to be like a zoo here, even though we're talking about an auction. Oh. Because it's going to be hectic, and a lot of people are going to have a lot of things to say.
Probably. Hopefully they're good. And you can repeat them on TV.
All right, well, we'll start with the person that we're talking to and introduce themselves. Who are you?
I am Debbie Olds. I was Debbie Neverett. I'm Bud Neverett's daughter, middle daughter.
All right, so how did you find this film?
My mom moved into the Vilas home a couple years ago, and so before she moved, she wanted to go through her stuff and clean out her house, and we said we would do it together, and had a great time. And I found this film in a box my father always had a movie camera from the time, obviously he was very young, because he was 17 years old when he did this movie. And separate and apart from all the other films that we had was this movie, a reel, and it said sale. And we didn't know what it was, and I didn't know why it was separated from everything else. And we suspected that maybe it was about the bankruptcy that Neverett and Sons went through in 1965. which was never a good subject with my mother. So we was not talked about at our house very much. And I thought maybe Dad had done an inventory of the farms in the St. Armand's Beach area for the bankruptcy. That's kind of what we thought, but we didn't know. So my cousin Kim, Neverett, Bob's daughter, is our family historian. So we said, let's send it away and see what we get. So we sent it away, and it was like 4 months later we got it back, and I was very surprised. It looked almost like a little documentary on the big sale at the barn in the fall of every year. Apparently, a lot of people came from the Midwest, and this was a big deal, apparently. And my father would have been in high school. He focuses on my uncle a little bit, Bill, who must have just graduated, so it was kind of like, I don't know if it was a coming out party of his or whatever. I don't know if it was a school thing. We don't really know. Sounds like a barn in here.
Yeah, opening tables.
We were able, fortunately, I was able to get Dick Ashline, who worked for my grandparents and my father for his whole life practically. Before he passed away, we were able to sit with him, and he was able to point out families. There were some Facets in here, there were some Juberts in here, some of the people that worked for my grandfather. And he said, you need to get people together to figure out who these people are, because, our grandfather would have been 135 years old or whatever right now. So it's like we're kind of at the end of who can identify these people. So we're hoping people can identify their grandparents. Once you get into the next generation, you don't really know. Matter of fact, we discovered our great-grandfather on this film, and it took us a little bit to figure out who he was. So we just said, let's get everybody together someplace where we can just talk about it and tell stories and see what happens. So that's what we did.
And just in case this video should stir some interest, you'd be willing to do a chapter 2 sometime if somebody had some great information.
Yeah, it's only about 10 minutes long. We can show it and then we can stop it. We want to be able to stop it and say, does anybody know these people? Or, laugh. The clothing, the people that come from the, mostly from the Midwest, they're dressed to the nines. They've got furs on. The men are all in suits. The farm hands look very much like farm hands today. I mean, it's kind of funny how that clothing hasn't changed any. The livestock barn obviously isn't what it was back then, but they used to move hundreds and hundreds of cattle through there. You can see the streets of Chazy, which haven't changed much, which is kind of funny. Yeah. Some people notice the cars that are in it. I mean, everybody sees something different when they look at it, so it's kind of fun.
Yeah. So we're going to try to make something coherent out of all this here today.
Yeah.
And this room echoes. This room echoes quite a bit here, so it's going to be a little tough, but we'll do the best we can. Obviously, there's no 97-year-old people who are showing up today.
No.
It's unfortunate, but it's the way it is.
Yeah, we were hoping a few of your relatives would show up. That might be able to help us out, but we'll see. Hopefully, once you post it, it'll get out there, and people will get in touch. We just figured it was easier to have everybody in one room because as people identify, it's hard to get that word around to everybody, and sometimes it'll take everybody to figure out who somebody is. So
yeah,
it's fun though. It's certainly, it looks like a Norman Rockwell print, a lot of this. It's really kind of funny.
Yeah, it's only a little over 10 minutes long, but a lot of memories stuck in those 10 minutes.
It's a fun little Americana, early Chazy life.
Okay, like I said, the sound is going to be very, very challenging here, but we'll do the best we can, and it's supposed to start at 2, and guess what time it is?
Yes, we're going to get going. I just want to talk to my other sister one minute.
All right, do what you got to do. All right. We're going to try to get everybody in here so they can know who's speaking. Just give us your name.
Tony Lurkeys.
And what do you got to do with farming?
Well, I used to work farm. My mom and dad had a dairy farm in Ticonderoga, and I worked farm machinery majority of my adult life. And my wife is daughter to Gerald Castine, and I know he spoke about this auction a lot. And I asked
Wouldn't bring him today?
No, he said, no, I've seen cows all my life. I don't want to see them.
I don't want to see no more. Okay. All right, just let me introduce everybody here, then we'll get going here. Bayshards are represented by who?
Okay, how are you?
Good.
Good.
You're Dave? You grew up here in Chazy. Your father was a farmer?
That's right. You used to go to the auction. I used to go there when I was a young man in the late 40s.
Okay.
I remember it well.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sarge. And I just wanted to get everybody on here so people know who's talking. I won't hold you too long here, Debbie. Is your name?
Kevin Bushy.
What are you going to do with farming?
I used to work a few farms when I was younger, but I'm just friends with Neverett, so I come and watch a movie.
Okay. You're here to learn. All right. Who are these suspicious-looking people here?
Kelvin, how are you? Haven't seen you in quite a while.
Well, you got to introduce yourself.
Yeah, Greg Facette, Steve Facette, both dairy farmers.
All right. And Debbie said might be some facettes in this film, so.
You got it.
You guys still farming at all, or?
Not anymore. Retired from the institute, so just watching.
Just watching now. Watching the corn grow. And you married into the family here, so you got to.
Yes, I did.
Glad to be here. What's your name?
My name's Tim Howley, and I am married to one of Bob's daughters, Kim, and so that's where my association is with this whole deal. And we now own the home at the corner of what Bob and Joan had. And Kim grew up there, and of course the sale barn's right in the back, and so there's an awful lot of history right there.
Right in your backyard.
Yes, sir.
All right, Bob Misek's leaving here. You got anything to do with farming, Bob?
Do I have anything to do with farming?
You're just here for the Legion, or what?
I'm just here for the Legion. Open up the building for
All
them.
right, keep the crowd control. All right, there's Kim Howley here talking to young Facette boy, and we're going to get this show on the road. We'll let Debbie take over.
There's no sound to this movie.
Okay.
So. No sound to this.
Your sign language?
It's like the old days.
Oh, sorry.
So this is only about 10 minutes long. I found it in my mom's house when we were cleaning it out when she moved to Violet. We took a year with her to just go through stuff. I had no idea what it was. We sent it off to get, and when we got it back, it was not what we expected at all. My father was Bud Neverett. He was 17 years old when he took this movie. He always took movies. Unfortunately, he's not in most of them because he was always taking them. So he is not in this. But you'll see Peg, you'll see Doris Neverett, you'll see Bill, and apparently my great-grandfather. And so this was a sale that they used to have in the fall of the year. Fortunately, I was able to show this to Dick Ashline before he passed, before he got sick actually, because this was his idea to get everybody together to do this. And he was only 12, so this was long before his time also. But he was able to point people out and he'd say, that's a Facette, and that's a Facette, and this is a Dubert, and that's a this. And then he had a few he wasn't sure about, so he said, you know, you need to get people in the room and see if they can identify their families. But some of the things that we noticed on this, we'll show it through and then we can go back and show it. Men noticed the cars. Other farmers noticed the cows. The first set of cows are really bad. We've been told that they're ugly. The second batch is better looking. Okay. The women, there were a lot of people from the Midwest, Nick said, that used to come to this. My cousin Harry still sells all of his cows, buys them all in the Midwest and ships them overseas. So that's a huge cow market. So a lot of Midwestern people, so we don't know who they are, but the women, a lot of women in the audience, I'm going to call it in the barn, dressed in furs. Everybody's dressed up like Sunday best. The cowhands are dressed in the wool, similar to what you see today, actually. So everybody notices something different about it. Everybody's got a cigar in their mouth. How that mark never blew up. I know they weren't always lit, but you know, just the chances that one did and that place would. So that's like the 8th wonder of the world. So. Oh, sure. Now we're going to have technical difficulties. I have no tolerance for technical difficulties.
That seems to be the theme lately. Microsoft.
Yeah. Oh, David. There we go. It was just for watching it.
We don't have music for this?
Sing
I thought you
along.
were going to play the piano.
No, that's the store and that's the house that was in between the weather car.
You guys can
Oh, yeah, it was Duchamp's store, wasn't it, at one point?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's before my day.
Boy, there's a whole truck there, ain't it?
That's fine. Well, the house with the awning is my grandmother's house. It's across the bay from the bay. I wonder if we turn the lights on.
Yeah.
First set.
This one?
Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of cows.
I'll call you later.
Sorry, this is painful. Yes, and get this cow. It's worth it.
Pretty steep. Boy, that's funny.
Oh, see? It's gonna close it.
Go on there, buddy. No.
What's that?
I got fun.
Yeah.
These are the other cows. Actually, wouldn't Harry say that they bred out that hump in the back? So that they bred that out of cows.
Oh, wow, isn't it interesting?
Yeah, I would. This is where I say I didn't know my father got this close to cows.
Yeah, you should, to film this.
Yeah. This is funny. That's my grandfather.
Oh, it is, okay.
Old cigar.
Yeah. And that's a cassette, I'm told.
Oh, there you go.
But-
See, if you
I'll go
recognize
back.
somebody, shout it out.
Or we thought so. We'll go back and stop it after, but he thought, I think that was one that Dick thought was a cassette. Is that what he thought was a cassette? Marie?
The Keynes is. 47, maybe better.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah.
I think he was just a little
That's way before my time.
7 years ago,
Yeah. This is Bill down in the bottom.
The big ears.
With the big ears. Yeah.
That's, overalls.
And that's Bob in the brown hat on the right. Real,
You can tell profile.
there you go.
I'm doing a tally.
With a red shirt on, with a sweater on.
Oh, yeah, that's.
Jim has great stories about my grandfather and that king.
Looks like a, yeah.
That's Harry.
This is Bill doing downstairs.
That's Bill. Oh, was he there?
We got 19.
Let's see, we'll look at
Here in our room gallery.
Yeah. Yes.
It's a little dark. Calvin's going to post this after so you can watch it because it's a little dark here. I don't know if you can see the woman with the fur. You can usually see it better, but I think it's a little bright in here.
What cow?
I'm told this was a better batch. that the name?
Mrs. Abu.
Mrs. Abu? Is that her name? Maureen, do you remember?
Is that?
Mrs. Abu, was that her name?
I'm not sure.
I thought that's what we said. She was on. We don't know who this man is, if somebody knows.
Taking the money now.
Yeah. It's got to be somebody that obviously works there.
It's not John Collins. Is he?
No.
No, he was one of the ones that we could not figure out. And obviously he's local because he's saving money. And the Neveretts didn't just let anybody take the money.
Yes, exactly.
And these people, is the one on the right of the set or no? Oh, you can't. I don't know who this guy is either.
That looks like the guy that's taking the money. The eyes.
Girls get a little bit of money.
I don't know who, that's Bill, auctioneer, and I don't know who the guy next to him is, the clerk. I didn't Kelly tell us who the clerk was?
Yeah, I thought he was going to come to you.
Kelly told Catherine who the clerk was, no?
Give him a handshake there.
The man with the
It
kid,
was a side deal.
he looks local. He's got to be related to somebody.
Yeah.
Now that guy on the right looks like a Collins. That looks like Pat Collins right there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The guy on the left looks like Truman, but
Yes.
he was president at the time, so we're
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
sure he wasn't in Chazy. That's a Jubert. That's Vic Jubert.
Big Jubert. Oh, that's Big Jubert. Oh,
Yeah, that's my grandfather.
Is that Harry?
Yeah.
Oh, look at her bag.
Yeah, kind of looking back at the back out.
Yeah.
When you think about it, it'd be right in here.
Flat.
Like this man,
Yeah.
whoever he is, it's gotta be, he's local, a foreman or something. So, I don't know. It gets a little shaky here, but it gets, could be my father shaking because he's so close to the guys. Now that's Bill's graduation picture, so that's why we wondered if this was kind of Bill's first auction or something. And that we think is my great grandfather, right? We don't
Yeah,
kind of looks like him. I'm trying to figure that out.
you know who he is. Oh, that's in the backyard.
Well, I don't know. He doesn't look old enough.
That's
Doris
okay.
Neverett.
Or Doris. No,
Is the house in Chazy?
that's my aunt, my oldest cousin Kathy. Yes, that's the
Yes.
house down here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Helen died in what, 59?
Not long after that. Yeah.
Aww. My boys.
This is fun too, the pens that they had, because there were a lot more pens than what obviously there is now, or even like what I remember as a kid. You'll get an area that goes upstairs to take some.
Now, this auction covered all Clinton County, or mostly right in Chazy?
It was, well, like I said, a lot of the buyers were from the Midwest, I'm told. They used to come from the Midwest, so I would imagine everybody local would come.
It's probably like a northeast type of thing,
Yeah, I guess it was every fall. There's Bob and Bill.
then.
Yeah.
Yep, not really, you know, I mean. So that's like River Street, and if you go up a little bit, you'll see where the bank is then. That's Doris, that girl that was walking, that's Doris. I don't know if they were married.
Solving all the road problems here.
Yeah, and that's the end of it.
That's pretty
That's
cool.
it.
Wow, that's a treasure. It really is. Now, you said your cousin still does it?
Yep, Harry still, well, he's retired, but I'm just gonna move this a little bit to see if we can find that first one where Dick told me he thought it was the set.
That was it back there.
That one right there.
Oh, shoot. Turn this one, stop this. Okay.
Maybe
Does that look familiar to any of you guys? No? There were... No, maybe that isn't it. No, let me just see. There were a couple that he thought was the sets. One of them had bigger ears. Like that.
There was one in a picture.
Let's see.
Now, was your great-grandfather an auctioneer too?
I don't know.
I think he did. On occasion,
Yeah,
yes.
I have to ask the,
Saw him do that, yeah.
this man, can you see my cursor? He's got to be the clerk or something. He's got to be somebody that worked. Because he seems to be.
How old would that Neverett be calling?
Bill,
Would have been probably 20.
Dad was
19.
Dad was 17, so there was Peg and then Bill. So
I'd say that's 20.
Yeah,
19,
20.
20, 21 maybe, because Bob
I
was
don't think there was
25.
that much difference.
Because Bob was 25, so
Bob was
yeah.
25.
So yeah.
Uh,
And he was the
And
oldest.
there was
so
one
yeah.
between them.
Pardon me?
I thought there was about 2 years between Dad and Dad. I'd say 20, 19, 20. I was 30.
That's why I love that.
There.
well, that guy's picking up
Good
his
kind of
watch.
shape.
Yeah.
Cleaning up his schlitz.
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I love these, when you look at these people, the faces are just so fun. It's such a...
I love all the hats, the caps. Caps.
Yeah. I got the glare
Girls.
here. Yeah, the women were kind of funny.
I think they would have been more
Dressed up for
farmers.
it.
In there, more farmers, like Pookie, those guys. I don't see those guys in that picture.
Oh, God, I think
More
Probably.
Pookie and a farmer.
We just don't recognize them probably. They, you
This
know,
lady right
Yeah,
here kills
there's the
me.
fur
with
coat.
her coat.
right there.
Yeah.
One next to her too or not? Maybe she has on. I don't think you could get another person in there. Look at their financials are full.
That's true.
Fine.
I know.
Yeah, exactly.
But all this stuff we're looking at today is still there today?
Not all of it, because there's not as many pens. I don't know what it looks like now.
I walked all through it the other day, and there's a lot of pens and stanchials.
Oh,
and-
really? Yeah,
It's more of a
It's the transfer station.
transfer station. McCracken has it out of St. Albans. And so he comes over every
So this lady, I
Tuesday,
think,
Monday, I think.
No, they're there today.
Tuesday, yes.
They're there today.
Yeah, Tuesday.
I think
Forget
they
what day
said
it
that
is.
that was Mrs. Abu, that she was the bookkeeper for forever.
I just,
Yeah.
Kelly yesterday.
Apparently, she there's some investments.
I know, and they have fur coats on, and hats, even the guy.
And can you imagine me sitting like that close with?
Well,
Cows.
if people coming from the Midwest, it was a big deal.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
It was like,
You want all of the best.
it's like a show of cows, you know what I mean?
Parade, yeah,
A
yeah.
big show of cows, like,
But it's like, you know, it had to be hot and.
And that, when you think about it, that's what people did. They had, everyone had farms, you know, food and.
But at this time was the minor farm going to it?
Oh, yeah, yes, yes.
So that could have been why a lot of people from out west came.
Yes, exactly, because he had a connection to Chicago, you know?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it makes money, yeah, what a cool guy.
So this guy intrigues me because it feels like we should know who he is.
The eyes. It's probably a local, yeah.
It's gotta be, if he's, like I said, if he's taking the money of this. That couldn't be stuck, could it, Kim? It looks like the nose.
It does.
No, that's not stuff.
His nose looks like stuff.
Did Harry own that farm, like Rover's Farm now, 1947?
Yes. Yes, right, Kim? Yes.
What's that?
Ray, you were on the, that was before you. Do you know when, did Bumpa own the North Farm then, in 47?
No, I don't think so.
Do you know when he went there? Do you know when they went to the North Farm?
We moved there in 57.
Right, and I got this
So he
picture,
owned
it's
it before
called
that.
Broad Acres Farm, and this was, that was 51.
Must have been the 50s then, they bought that farm.
Well, this is 47.
It's gotta be before
so-
then.
So that one's Rover's Kill?
Yes, this is outside the milk parlor down at the North Farm, which was called Broad Acres at one point. And it's dated 51, and that's Karen and, Susie, and I think Karen in that picture is babies.
Ray would know that.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know.
So did we, I don't know
About that.
if they own the North Farm.
I don't know what year Rover's like, people can't really.
Oh, well, they lost it.
People are having trouble, yeah.
They lost it.
You have to,
They
Juber number
I don't know when they got it.
Victor Juber, he was in there, she said.
What year was it? 51?
Yeah, because they lost the farm in 65.
We have to have somebody.
See, now when the fire was good, I was in the street.
What's that?
And he said that when we visited him, he called it the old Neverett farm, but that doesn't mean he bought it. He always called it the old
They
Neverett.
lost it.
Oh,
Did he buy it back?
But all these were like this around the facility. These so close to him, you could go out to the world.
Yeah, my cousin Harry is Bill's son. Had a farm. He dealt out of Canada for years and years and years, and worked along with Bob.
Two gone.
And then because there was a bankruptcy, Bob and Bill separated.
Okay.
And then Harry, Bill's son, was in getting into cattle, but he worked with Bob. But he had a farm in Canada. He just moved down here when he retired. However many years ago.
Yeah, and he kept it going.
And he does it on the side now. But he's bored. He's got apparently buyers in Europe. And so they'll call him and he'll go out to the Midwest and buy cows.
Did it stop and he resurfaced?
My grandfather Harry had 13 kids in his family, and his sister Carrie, her husband was a big cow broker in Canada. They lived down here, but he worked a lot in Canada. He was Canadian. And they had a place in Champlain. And so there were a lot of, I think the Neveretts were in Canada.
Oh, yeah, when they established.
Right. I think they came over and they changed their name. I know that. And we always figured it was because they were running from somebody.
Yeah, you're right.
And I would open this
Old
up.
ladies.
You got one Neverett still sells cows?
Yeah, I'm county
Neverett. One that goes to the doctor every Sunday with Sonny Spiegel, that.
Yeah, that's Harry.
Yeah, that's-
That's Harry. Yes.
Keith knows.
I didn't know we sold cows still.
We had them come, we showed them this at my house a couple weeks ago, and they were blessed to talk about all this stuff, because and we asked them to come, but they were too busy. But, yeah, it's very interesting when you said that, but it's still.
You can tell he's a Neverett, look at his face.
Yeah, yes.
So yeah, like those.
And Sonny has great stories, because he was one of the older cousins, and you know, they were the older ones. Kathy at the end of this film is the oldest, and she's 77, I think.
Is that the one that waved or something?
No, that's Harry's mother.
Oh, Doris.
That's Doris.
Doris.
She just passed away this spring,
Yeah,
and she was 90.
8 or 99,
Oh,
something
wow.
Something
up
like
there.
that, yeah. And she was in her 90s. Where was everyone with this?
Yeah.
I forgot her name.
Um,
But
But you said Sunny knows something.
oh, so Sonny just turned 75 last week. So he's like the second or third. I don't know if Gail's ever with him.
Yes.
And then Harry's a little bit younger. So Sonny was a teenager when the farm was going.
Yeah.
And, you know, Kim was 10 when they lost the North farm.
Right.
So Sonny and Harry were a little older, and Marie was there through thick and thin. And that lady's got some stories.
We were there for 10 years. We were there for 10 years.
My father, your husband worked there for Harry.
Pardon?
My father worked for Harry.
Yes, yes.
Oh, he worked there too, your dad? Wow.
Absolutely.
Everybody sees you work for Harry.
I think so, one time or other.
So Calvin is going to post this, so everybody can watch
So
it.
watch it again, that's a good idea,
And-
that's a really good idea.
You know, figure out, and then if you do, and if anybody wants, can they pull it off your site, Calvin?
Yeah.
So you can pull it off your site.
You got on cable to watch it.
No, it's on the internet, YouTube.
I'm gonna be in regular TV.
YouTube. YouTube. Yeah. World Wide Web, heard of it?
I only got regular TV in my house, I ain't got cable.
If you got the internet connection, if you got a smart TV and an internet connection, you can go to YouTube and watch
Right on
it.
your phone.
But back in his day, Neverett was very influential in agriculture. Back when this building was.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I think that's why this was such a big deal. I mean,
Yes,
it was
yeah.
kind of like the auction, you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
it was,
He was well known throughout the country because
And,
people came from everywhere.
and they were, you know, they probably, I would think, were the cattle movers of the area, right? Everybody
I would
pretty much
think,
got
yeah.
their cows here.
Yeah,
And they just, I don't know where they got them either.
yeah.
Well, I remember there was a story once that they used to, when Bob was 17, 18 years old, that Harry would give him whatever money they had and would send him out to Chicago, to the stockyards in
Yeah.
Chicago, and he would buy whatever he had money for, and then they put him on a train, and he would sleep with whatever livestock he bought, whether it was cows or horses, and ride back to Montreal to the stockyards there. And and Sonny said this story at Bob's funeral, that they would unload them there and then they would ride them back from right across the border with a rope and lead them across and herd them back right across the border. And there's pictures right in front of Casey's at the customs, Casey's.
Yeah, Bob Casey.
Yeah, Bob Casey's, of them in front of that building, doing that, bringing them in.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. But can you imagine just being
Yeah.
sent off to Chicago at 17 years old with
Oh,
a
yeah.
pocket full of money and
Oh, yeah.
told to buy whatever you can buy?
Yeah, oh yeah, that's so
Bring 'em
cool.
home.
Yeah, bring them home.
Yeah.
This is a good news.
Everything was cash back then, no checks, eh?
No checks, a lick and a promise.
Yeah.
She was out of trouble, but she also, tell them about, Bob would go on the drive, get Dick and others to drive him. And then head out for a couple days and just,
Well, yes, I mean, he picked me up to go open gates or something, because he didn't
Yeah.
want, go down there and pull those gals up, and you have to go down and run, and you're only gonna be gone a few minutes. Well, sometimes I'd call, and all of a sudden, it was the best time ever, because I didn't have to change my clothes, and I didn't have to brush my teeth. And then it'd be 2 days later, and what am I complaining? You get dropped off at some farm, and the lady there gives you something to eat, and you play with the cats, and play out in the barn, and then, Bob comes back sometime or other from an auction and picks you up. I mean, I was never worried he'd forget me, but it'd be a couple of days later, and then he'd finally say, oh, you better call your mother. Jeez. And so, you know, up, and so we call, and he had a bag phone in the day too. And there, yes. And he'd say, you better call your mother. And so we'd call, Mom, where are you? Where are we, Bob? Iowa. You know, I used to call Iowa. I'm in Iowa. And, you know, so, you know, she'd start screaming or something and click go with the phone, but, you know, we let her know where we were. And, you know, it didn't matter, but we'd show home, you know, back home 2 or 3 days later. With a couple tractor trailer loads of cows and happy as ever. You know? But, you know, never gave it a thought. See you later, jump in. You couldn't care because you were having so much fun. Right. Sometimes you got a pony out of it. If you saw something cute.
You need to keep quiet.
Yeah.
Right. I can see Sunny and Bill so much in the figure. You know, they look just like them. You know?
Bill's son, Bill.
Yeah.
Looks like him
Yeah.
in that picture.
Oh, Bill's son, Bill. looks
Bill's
like
son,
him.
yeah. We're in Neverett, has the same name now.
Where does Leo fit in?
Where's that? What did you say?
Where does Leo fit in? Leo
That's
cousin.
A cousin.
But we couldn't find him in here. If anybody would.
There's only the one picture in Stantos
We
for
had
the
asked
calendar
Bill
that's there.
to come because I said he should have been in here because when my father was little, my grandmother had a heart attack. And all the kids were shipped out. My father was 4, but Bob was.
Bob stayed home.
Bob stayed
the
home
eldest
because he
in the
was
farm.
an adult. Peg and Helen went to St. Mary's and boarded. Bill went to MAI. He would have been close to graduating. Well, no.
Not that.
No, because Dad was 4.
Right.
So.
He would have been in school.
So Bob would have been like 12-ish. And Dad went first to stay with Leo for a short time and lived with him. And then he went to live with my Aunt Carrie and her husband, who was the other cavalier from Canada in Champlain for like a year. Imagine 7-year, 4-year-old, all your kids off because she had a heart attack. And they stopped blowing the new whistle in Chazy.
They stopped what?
Blowing the new whistle in Chazy.
Oh, really?
Because they were, I don't know, more upset or whatever. I don't know. Back in those days, you know, everything was bed rest. Just get bed rest, feel better. But for a year, they lived all the kids lived somewhere else. I never really knew that until way a bit later. But I didn't realize he went to Leo's first, but he went to Leo's. Which Leo would have been a kid of, you know, his parents for however long.
But Leo's father would have been Harry Neverett's brother.
Right.
So they're cousins.
Whoever Leo's mom,
And Harry Neverett was another cousin.
Yes.
So he would have, you know,
Yes.
so with, how many did you
Yeah,
say?
there
There's
were
14. Yeah.
12 or 13 in that.
But your great-grandfather, he must have helped out a lot of these farmers locally, financially.
I don't know, do you know anything about our great-grandfather?
No, I don't. Nothing.
Because Harry was our grandfather.
Oh.
Harry died when I was like 2.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I was 5. So Harry Senior, old Harry, as they used to call him. Old Harry.
Yes.
Old Harry was our grandfather.
And he was in there.
And he was in there.
Yeah.
He's the star of the show.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
what he says.
Yes.
He was the one that ran the family. And then Bill and Bob, Kim's father, my Uncle Bill, worked with him. And then my father was the attorney, which every family had that one. Back in those days. It's like, you know, when you watch Dallas and Big Valley. Western, they always had an attorney in the family. I learned that was not a coincidence.
I was on retainer.
Yeah, but he was, like I said, I was telling somebody, my grandmother was 7 years older than my grandfather, which was odd back then. And they were both older when they had kids.
Right.
And then my father was 30 when he got married, which was old for the times. And he was 35 when I was born, 37 when my sister Meredith's ward. So that was, so we're all kind of like a half a generation
Yes, yeah,
removed from everybody. Like my grandfather would be somebody else's great grandfather because we were all jockeying down half of the generation.
Or they had a big family, the one at the end.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
The uncle.
Like, yeah, his dad was the youngest of
Yes,
5 kids,
yeah.
and then he got married late. So Meredith and Meredith's the youngest of all of us cousins, and Kathy, who's Davian's video, is the oldest.
Yeah.
And there was a gap between Meredith and I and the others, so we didn't grow up with them. Like there's 10 years between Kim and I, so there's a parcel of them that are her age. Meredith and I. I didn't tell anybody how old everybody was.
Okay.
Dancing
Yeah,
around,
that's
other
good.
than the people who aren't here.
It's all numbers, right? Yeah, exactly.
And that's because they're not here, so they want to defend themselves. They can show up. So.
Very interesting.
So I don't know, Kim is our family historian, so if anybody, she has a lot of pictures of the North Park, and she has,
Not collated very well.
no,
Yeah, thank you.
no,
Pat.
because
Yeah,
my
Pat was the
mother,
one
we
that
found
started
one with
that.
my mother, so we're throwing them all together. We found a picture of my grandmother when she was like 13 that looks just like Sky, which is really
Oh,
weird.
wow.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's cool, but it's like, wow.
Maybe some of the questions today arose, we got some history to find out when they moved to the sale, to the North Farm and stuff. I guess we need to find some dates out.
How would we?
I don't know.
There used to be a painting in Holland. Because I remember babysitting there when I was a kid.
Well, my father and his brother Ken, we've talked before about old days and stuff. My father, he's got a real good memory. Once you get it all and stuff, it's really interesting.
I know, that's what we were hoping that we would get some people together today so that we could get some of those things. Because it's so far ahead of us that it's almost beyond me, it's almost beyond us now. And so if we don't, and we already have a lot of great stories about this farm. And Sonny and Harry have a lot, and Kim. Sit a long time to talk to Kim about that.
Well, it was worth a try. We probably didn't get much new, old information today, but we're going to post the original video in a silent mode at the end of this video. So if you're from northern New York and your family has got a history of farming, take a look at that film and stop it. And if you've got some questions or maybe some answers, contact Debbie Olds or Kim Howley, and any Neverett you may find hanging around, and or Spiegel, and pass along that information to them. I'm just going to close out this portion with a little look here. I'll put my microphone in, and I'm going to just yank these pictures one at a time. And this is in the 1951 calendar. Here's a shot that we saw up there from the film. If you recognize any of these folks or think you do, feel free to contact everyone. It's like the same film, same shot here. And more photos. Of course, this is reminiscent with the photos of the excellent show we did with Bob Venn, my father, Lyles Trombley, and Gary Finney at the Finney John Deere days from this same era, same time period. The photos there were from actually a few years later, because as I said at the onset, I was born in '47, and there's a photo in there of me at the Finney's John Deere days of me about 4 years old or so. So again, we're just showing these here. Is go through the film, stop it where you like it. There, it's on the YouTube. If you're watching this on cable, the video is on YouTube, and you can sit there and watch it at your leisure and pause it and maybe decide that you might know some of these folks. I'm not sure where this was taken. As part of the pile of photos here, and this was one we just looked at a moment or two ago. And this is the third time we've seen this one, so they had different photos here available at different tables so people could peruse at their leisure. A lot of copies of this one. And I think we're going to pretty much wrap it up as we get through here. And there's an auction taking place. I think this was done at an annual auction, but the auction we're all familiar with here in the North Country is the weekly Thursday auction. Here's the 1958 map and Miss St. Armand's Beach. Doesn't give her name, so if you're looking for the 1958 Miss St. Armand's Beach, that's what she looked like. And there is this photo right here that's going to end it. This is from the 1962 calendar. So stay tuned. We're going to have the 10-minute film in its entirety with no sound. One final segment before we pop up that film that was taken here, right here, in 1947. Do a very slow drive-by. As we said, every Tuesday they have used this as a transfer station. Cattle come in here and then they're transferred out, heading for another state, actually. So that'll wrap it up. And now we're going to finally show that old film silently to end this video.